Disclaimer: the following video that you're about to view only contains audio only, as it's from a wrestling internet radio show. If you are looking for wrestling video footage, you will not find that on this video. This wrestling radio show may contain strong language that may be offensive to those under the age of 18. If you are under the age of 18, please get permission to listen to this episode. Enjoy, comment, and subscribe. Hey y'all, Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders here. It is December 30th, 2012. Just a couple of minutes past 1 o'clock a.m. We just came fresh off of the air with a brand new RCWR Post Show. But you all that's checking this out on YouTube right now, you guys are in for a very special treat. Because at the time that we were doing this episode live in progress on Blog Talk Radio, we actually went off the air without reporting the final 3 matches. It wasn't our fault. But Extreme Rising, they had got off to a late rocky start. You'll hear all about it on this episode in just a couple of seconds. But you make sure you stick around and listen to this entire episode as we hook you up with the very latest results of the final 3 matches. One of the most important was who was crowned the new Extreme Rising World Heavyweight Champion. This is a special remix version for you all. So kick on back and enjoy, and if you like, make sure you comment and subscribe.
Hold 1, arm drag. Whoa! This is
Brett screwed Brett.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Brett screwed Brett.
hold 2, arm bar.
Hey, get a nice shot of the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Hunter Hurst Helmsley.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate your hat. I hate your t-shirts. I hate your wristbands. I hate your shoes. I hate your music. I hate the C-Nation. I hate everything that you stand for.
So does Rule. Yeah, they do.
Hold 3, the moss-covered, 3-handle family Gradunzo.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
Oh, yeah, and we are back. What's up, everybody? It is the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders, coming at you live right now with the RCWR Post Show, right now live on blogtalkradio.com, also heard on Stitcher. And if you don't have that Stitcher app, my friends, as I said earlier, you are missing out. Go look into that, okay? Thank you for checking this out on YouTube right now. Shout out to our subscribers and YouTube audience. So we are actually joining the Extreme Rising pay-per-view live in progress right now. Yes, I repeat, we are joining the Extreme Rising pay-per-view as it was dubbed Card Subject to Change. That's coming to us from the Pennsylvania area at the National Armory, which, by the way, it was announced at this event that Extreme Rising is going to be coming back on April 4th of next year. You know, I'm just kicking back, and I am a little bit disappointed with this whole card. It's funny that they say card subject to change because, man, did we really see some cards changing all throughout the night. I want to kick it off by letting you guys know the real 411 leading up to this event tonight, as I think a lot of you, based on what you're getting ready to hear, you're probably going to be saying to yourselves, man, so glad I did not go try to see that event. Let me break it down for you all. Now, the doors were supposed to open at 6 p.m. so wrestling fans could go in. They could have their autograph signings with wrestlers among the likes of Matt Hardy, Jerry Lynn, Sabu, Blue Meaning, Stevie Richards, etc. But it did not happen on time. At about 6:15, 6:30, you still had people waiting to go inside. One of the folks that was going to tonight's event that actually took the time out to interact with us. He informed us that he was in a pretty bad spot where he didn't get to the event until like about 30, 35 minutes later. Then he had to spend about 15 minutes trying to find a parking space. So pretty much he comes up to the doors at 6:45, and he's still standing out there among the rest of the fans waiting to get in. Now, finally, just a little bit after 7, we see them. They're able to go in, and they're able to meet and greet. It's rather quickly, but then it's pretty much time for them to go enjoy the pay-per-view. It's underway. It's supposed to kick off with a couple of pre-shows. Well, unfortunately, those pre-shows did not begin on time. We had folks waiting as late as 7:50, folks. 7:50 is when the pay-per-view finally began. Finally had got the pay-per-view pre-show matches. And I don't know about you guys, but when I hear something like that, one of the first things that's jumping out there at me is, okay, I paid X amount of money on this, X amount of money on parking, X amount of money to get the autograph signings, meet and greet. Okay, this isn't starting on time. WTF, what the fuck is going on right here? So 7:50, you might as well just round that off to 8 o'clock. This pay-per-view is not beginning. If you're a hardcore, true wrestling fan, you probably might not really pay this any mind, especially if you don't have to get up for work the very next day. But if you happen to be one of those type of people that have family at home, or maybe a girlfriend that might be waiting, you know, this is a little bit of a jam to be in, because by the looks of things right now, this pay-per-view possibly is not going to be over until 1, maybe 1:30 in the morning. I am just thinking about this whole fiasco that's going on right now. And, you know, I hear all the good things that some wrestling fans have been saying about the Extreme Rising promotion, saying that it's come a long way from the first Extreme Reunion event that was held earlier this year. I believe it was around in April, and that basically it's come such a long way. It's really been improving. I hear this, and the first thing I say to myself is, you know, it's really good that these guys have not struck out on an actual pay-per-view deal with a major cable provider such as DirecTV, such as Dish Network, because this type of shit, honestly, I'm being straight up with you guys, and I hope you don't mind me cursing. I mean, come on, we're talking about an extreme ECW version of a pay-per-view. Don't mind the cursing. Come on, if you can't deal with it, tough shit. But let's be for real here. If they were to have struck a deal with DirecTV, Dish Network, to be airing pay-per-views, this type of bullshit just would not be working. Can you just imagine that? Basically, this is almost like a 4-hour block of pay-per-view time, if you will, almost up there with a WrestleMania, so to speak. And your event was supposed to begin at 7, and you should be done around 11, 11:45, but no, that's not the case. As I say, it just wouldn't fly. But nonetheless, let's go on ahead and let's take you through some of the matches that had came about from tonight's event. We had 2 pre-show matches. One of them was the Rough and Wilds, Matt Lancy and Blake Wilder. They took on Rush Hour's Baku Dio and Bolt Bradley. Of that, the winners were Rush Hour. That match had actually received quite a warm reception from what we were able to gather of those in attendance. As we spoke with a lot of people, we even had a couple of correspondents that were there at the event that were giving us a little bit of feedback of what all was happening, crowd reactions, all that. And it actually turned out that all these young guys that were involved in this particular match, they all actually are students from the Luke Hawx Wildcat Wrestling Academy. And you could kind of tell that they were a little bit wet behind the ears, that they were still relatively new to the wrestling circuit. It really showed. But there was a good portion of the crowd that had liked them. They thought they did pretty good. For those of you that are a little bit curious about the attendance number figures, you know, it kind of varies depending on the website that you're going to, but from the few correspondents that we've been able to interact with that physically are there at the event, they've been feeding us information via tweet, via cell phone, via email. Rough estimate looks like it's about maybe 600 to 900 people that are there in attendance. Not really too bad. That's a pretty good number right there for the National Armory. Not really too bad. Second match of the night, we had got Bandito Jr. They took on the Slop Hunters. They took on Matt Tremont and Brian XL. Of that match, we saw Matt and XL pick up the victory. That was being dubbed as one of the best matches of the night. It was actually one of the early show stealers early on. As a lot of people, they were really just taken away by the way that this tag match had played out. We even went as far as to have Blue Meaning and Balls Mahoney. They went out there and said that this is what Extreme Rising is all about. It's not really about us old veterans. It's about that new generation of wrestlers, and those guys, they really threw it down in that ring tonight. Nice to hear some classy words coming from the veteran ECW wrestlers right there. Now, the official show, remember here, folks, we're supposed to get crowned a new Extreme Rising World Heavyweight Champion. Unfortunately, as of this hour, as of this time, 12:10 a.m. right now on the East Coast, December 30th, 2012, the pay-per-view is not over yet. The match has not gone down yet, so we still don't know who it is that's going to be involved in that final bout. But from the few tournaments that did take place tonight, one of the first tournaments was Luke Hawx taking on Stevie Richards. Of that, Stevie Richards was able to pick up a victory. He did it in the unique way as possible. He actually got it via submission. Now, post-match, we saw Matt Hardy along with Reby Sky. They came out. Reby Sky tried to distract Hawx while Hardy tried to jump him. Security had to come on out, and they had to break that up. Remember, Matt Hardy, Hawx there, they got a little bit of history there from the previous Extreme Rising event, but they broke them up. Next tournament, we saw Rhino defeat Crowbar to advance. Jay Bradley, he had took on Facade. Of that match, Facade had picked up the win. That was actually given a good amount of praise because for that particular match, Facade, he did a lot of sweet high spots. A lot of high spots in this match where he was really showing off. Really went well with the crowd. Blue Meaning, Balls Mahoney, they teamed up to take on Matt Tremont and Brian XL. Now, for those of you that's hearing that, you're probably saying, hey, Lee, those two names that you just mentioned, Matt and Brian, didn't you just mention them before during the pre-show? Yeah, unfortunately, these guys, they did double duty. Yes, pre-show, now they're coming back out again. They had a tag match with Balls Mahoney and Blue Meaning. Always gives me the chuckles whenever I see Blue Meaning come out. I think about the BWO, hilarious stuff. I thought it was really one of the most underrated stables of all time in wrestling. But we saw the team of Madden XL. They picked up the victory right there. Papadon took on Little Guido, or as you guys remember him, Nunzio from the FBI, Full-Blooded Italians. This was dubbed as a really great technical mat-style type of match that you could just really kick on back, just recline, and just have fun looking at it. Great matchup right here from what we are hearing. Now, for those of you that are wondering if you might be able to watch this event live right now on your internet browser, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to do that because the current deal that Extreme Rising Shane Douglas had made with highspots.com, you're only able to download this iPay-per-view event. You're not able to stream it live from your desktop, laptop, portable device. That's not happening. So only thing you can do right now is just order it. You won't be able to download it until possibly as early as today, the 30th. Unless you're on the West Coast, you got a little bit more time to kill. But hopefully it'll be available sometime today. Worst case scenario, the pay-per-view might not be available for download until later in the week. Just a little heads up on that. All right. Jerry Lynn was in action, as you know, he's making his final rounds there, as he's going to be retiring from wrestling altogether very shortly. 49-year-old, he had took on former TNA wrestler Homicide, best known for his days with Big Super Mex Hernandez, forming the LAX Latin American Exchange. This was really one of the best matches of the night. There is a reason why we have Jerry Lynn that is dubbed one of the hardest working men in professional wrestling. There is a reason why Jerry Lynn is dubbed one of the most underrated workers of the last quarter century. The man, he gives it his all. If I were to pick someone slightly similar or maybe a little opposite of Shawn Michaels, Jerry Lynn would be that guy. He is the Shawn Michaels of indie wrestling promotions when I really think about it. And really great match that he had right here against Homicide. It was one of those type of matches that you knew he was going to win because he's on his farewell tour, but just the amount of praise that was given to him after the match was over, as ring announcer, I can't think of the name right now, but the ring announcer, Steven, he took the mic and he basically said that on behalf of the company and the fans, you know, he just feels that Jerry Lynn has that ability to perform in the ring, but that there's a side of Jerry Lynn that, you know, everybody's not able to see, that's in the back of the locker room. And he just praised him for always being a gentleman, always being selfless, and just really being a team player, and praised him for his workability and his history in Philadelphia. As you know, Jerry Lynn, he has that long history of always doing his rounds in the Philadelphia area. This was unfortunately one of the last times that Jerry Lynn is going to be wrestling in the Philly area. Great emotional moment for the fans in attendance that chanted, "Please don't go." Really heartbreaking moment right there. I'm sure it really got to him. All right, we had a best out of three falls match, of which it was the Philadelphia debut, Extreme Rising debut at that, for El Hijo del Rey Misterio, the cousin of WWE superstar Rey Mysterio. And for those of you that don't know anything about this young man, he's 24 years old, who hails from San Diego, California. Y'all need to do your little bit of research on him up on YouTube. I highly recommend you do that. Some really great stuff. Quite honestly, I kind of like this kid better than the actual Rey Mysterio, honestly. Now, he's mainly known for wrestling in promotions such as Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico. He's mainly known for being around those parts. And for those of you that are not familiar with Bestia 666, he's another one that you hear that name, you're like, who is this guy? Well, he actually has been doing his thing for a good minute now. He's got a little bit of the same similar background as Hijo Rey Mysterio. He's also been performing mostly in the California-based promotions. Of course, his father is professional wrestler Leonardo Canera, who performed as Damien 666, which basically inspired this version of Bestia 666. Of that best of three falls matches, Mysterio picking up the victory. First time there in front of the Philly crowd that he is performing. Great way to pick it up right here. You know, I will admit this to you guys. No bullshit off the break. You know, Extreme Rising, they have come a bit of a ways right here as they're going out of their comfort zone in acquiring talent that you really just don't get to see in the U.S., especially on the East Coast at that. You know, you kind of hear the names, you read about them in Pro Wrestling Illustrated, you hear about them on the Internet. So for these guys to be able to just bring them to the arena for everybody to see, I just really think it's some phenomenal stuff that they're doing. Kind of has a little bit of shades of how WCW used to be back in the day. As I remember, WCW for a good chunk of those years, it was really all about the cruiserweight division. That was really getting the company over because you had some of the best matches that was just coming from that. Also, let's get you guys a new update because at the time that we had went on the air, we didn't have any more updated information for you guys because the pay-per-view is still in progress. But let's see if we can get you guys a new update right now. I'm actually reading the information I'm getting as it's coming in from my respected correspondents. The BRISCOES, apparently they have made their debut as they were revealed to be the mystery team to take on Blackout. Now, of that match, Blackout did pick up the victory. And for you guys that might have missed the memo, if you're wondering where exactly is New Jack, is he was supposed to have something to do with this particular card. New Jack, he has got serious injuries. He requires surgery. He had tried to work through those injuries, but Shane Douglas, Five Guy Wrestling, they weren't having any of it. They wanted him to get 100% better. So New Jack was not on this card tonight. But once again, the BRISCOES, mostly known for their work at Ring of Honor Wrestling, they made their Extreme Rising debut, taking on Blackout. Once again, Blackout picking up the victory. Now, from here, there was a little bit of an intermission, but afterwards, Raven, quote the Raven, nevermore, he had came out to cut a promo saying that he wanted to explain to the degenerate monkeys why he has a problem with the Extreme Rising promotion, as he mocked it for lettering too many people backstage, which described as basically a shoot. He said the sound system was, direct quote right here, ass, which the crowd had popped for, and he told them not to cheer. So instead, they chanted, "You fat fuck." Raven, he said he was stealth and the fans were stupid fucks. Raven said his mission at this point is that this is a cheap copy of something from a glory that's passed by. He said the fans were just there to relive something they weren't a part of anyway because they were just fans and had nothing to do with the product. He promised to make life a living hell for whoever won the Extreme Rising title, and said he would take the title and do disgusting things to it in a way where he would be controlling the company and only allow certain people in, have wrestlers bleed all over them, and force the company to wither and die.
You all that's checking this out on YouTube, as I said earlier, you are in for a special exclusive treat, as now we're going to be able to cover the final few matches that had came about for the Extreme Rising event at the National Armory in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. Hey, let's tell you about it right now. So it turns out the mysterious team that was set to take on Blackout was none other than Ring of Honor's own multi-time tag champions, the Briscoe brothers. That's right, and they had received a huge pop from the crowd. I'm a huge Briscoe brothers fan. I love those guys. I think they are one of the most hottest young tag teams that's out there right now. Love all the phenomenal work that they have been doing at the Ring of Honor wrestling promotion. But Briscoe brothers making their Extreme Rising debut against Blackout. Very impressive outing. Really had the crowd going in their favor. Really looked up as those top baby faces. Was not just enough to prevail, though, as we saw the team of Blackout pick up the victory. Now let's talk about the most important match of the night. And I'm not talking about that Extreme Rising championship match. I'm talking about, for the first time ever, Matt Hardy taking on Sabu. Although some would argue that these two men may have taken each other on sometime in the early to mid-90s. We'll have to do some research on that and get back with you all. But for now, it's being dubbed the very first time that these two men are colliding. fantastic match from what we were able to hear. Matt Hardy, the one picking up the victory for the Extreme Championship match. Folks, we had Stevie Richards taking on Rhino, and the crowd was really in favor of Stevie Richards. This was Stevie Richards' night, and if you were a Stevie Richards fan, most importantly, if you were there in attendance, you truly had a mark-out moment right here. You couldn't help but have emotions just run wild if you've been following the career of Stevie Richards, as let's not forget, he was one of the original Extreme Wrestling Championship competitors back from 92 to 97. Remember, he did win the ECW Championship for a hot moment there. Also, let's not forget that he also did work at WCW, did work at World Wrestling Federation, World Wrestling Entertainment, did some work with the new ECW brand from WWE, did the independent circuit for a little bit before stopping off at Total Nonstop Action, where he did a new version of ECW, calling it EV 2.0. That really didn't last too long. This was Stevie Richards' night, folks. At 41 years old, Stevie Richards became the first ever Extreme Rising World Heavyweight Champion. Now, I don't know how some of you all may feel about this, but when I think about Extreme Rising, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a Rhino fan right here, and I might get a couple of stones thrown at me, but Rhino, for me, he had went out as the ECW champion. Of course, it made all the perfect sense in the world for him to be involved in this tournament, but quite honestly, I really just felt that he should have been the man on this night. I'm very curious to see where this is going to be going into in the very near future. But, you know, I can't help but be very ecstatic, be very emotional in euphoria for Stevie Richards for becoming the first ever Extreme Rising champion. Really proud moment for him right there. You just think about the decorated career that this guy has had. He's just proven himself time and time again that he is one of those type of wrestlers that is always a team player, always being overlooked though, never really being considered for that serious push. And when you think about what all he has done significantly in his wrestling career, probably one of the greatest moments that really unfortunately stand out for him is when he was in the BWO. And let's not forget the Rights to Censor stable that he had going on there. Those were pretty much the really two key highlight moments there of his career. Although Stevie Night Heat, I thought, was one phenomenal gimmick that he had right there. Truly underrated, I felt. And I just want to make a correction. You know, he was never the ECW World Heavyweight Champion. Correction right there is much needed. I don't want to get blazed by you hardcore ECW fans. It was actually the ECW World Tag Team titles that he won twice with Raven. Quote the Raven, nevermore. But really a long decorated career, as he won the Maryland Championship Wrestling title, tag team titles that is. He won the Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation heavyweight title. He won the National Wrestling Alliance Championship title. He won the NWA 2000 Heavyweight Championship, the NWA World Light Heavyweight Championship, NWA Force One Pro Wrestling Championship. A few times there he was voted for PWI as they ranked him 66 among the top 500 singles in wrestling. Back in 1997, they also ranked him at number 3 for most improved wrestler just a year prior in 1996. Just a long, decorated history that this man has had in this sport. And I just can't help but feel really proud of Stevie Richards right now. Congratulations to Stevie Richards. You know, in hindsight, I still can't get the bitter taste out of my mouth from all the events that had happened leading up to this pay-per-view. Quite a bit shaky. As grand total, we had about 10 matches, and when you just think about the time that this pay-per-view was supposed to initially begin at 7 o'clock, and really it should have been over by 11:45 p.m., I just can't help but really offer one of these strong suggestions to Shane Douglas, Five Guys Wrestling, the whole Extreme Rising promotion right now, and that is to really utilize time management properly, because this really could have been a scenario where there could have been a serious backlash from the fans that were in attendance. A riot could have been sparked. You know, you want to avoid stuff like that. And, you know, honestly, they would have been in the right to demand a refund and receive it. And to not receive it would be a riot, most certainly. But I just can't help thinking going forward that this is something that Shane Douglas and crew, they're really going to need to improve on, because you can take WWE Friday Night SmackDown, 2-hour show. They're able to squeeze out 10 matches if they really wanted to. You can take a product like TNA Wrestling. You get 2 hours of solid nonstop action every single week, live at that. Stakes don't get any higher than that. They are able to deliver. If they really want to, they can squeeze out about 7 matches. So you see what's happening with this particular event from Extreme Rising, and you just think about all those hours that they had, and they were only able to squeeze out 10 matches. Long delay, really, going into 2013. Hopefully they'll be able to improve on that. I know it's been a little bit of a learning process for them, and I really didn't mean to sound too critical earlier, but I still feel very passionate about all the points that I had made and describing the areas where this promotion needs to improve. But if I could offer one more piece of advice to Extreme Rising, it would be to really test out the pay-per-view formats coming from WN Live, as you're able to stream those episodes live from the actual event. As I know there were a ton of people that were under the impression they were going to be able to check out this pay-per-view live from their internet browser, portable device, what have you. Really unfortunate that the pay-per-view tonight was not available, as that is really a market that I feel that Shane Douglas and crew would be most successful in if they make it available. So hopefully with either WN Live or the new relationship that they are having with High Spots, hopefully that can be improved to a point where they're able to tap into that market of being able to stream the pay-per-view live to those who have their smartphones or respective devices. It's just one of those type of things that when you think about it from a marketing standpoint, you think about it from profit standpoint, it's really a good thing to seriously look into. Of course, we all know that they aren't able to air the pay-per-view / stream their events from the National Armory, but I would think that with every other pay-per-view, they should be able to get around that problem, as the property at the National Armory, it has poor internet service, and so Extreme Rising, they face the risk of the feed being interrupted several times throughout the night. So that's why we're not getting it, as really the internet is available for those in the military only. But really hope that going into 2013, they look into some other options. Hey, if you had saw Extreme Rising, we definitely want to get you all's reactions. This is a special shout out to those of you that were at the event, and maybe you wanted to just hear what some folks like us had thought about the event from the information that we were able to get in. We'd love to hear your comments. We definitely want to hear from you guys on what you thought of Stevie Richards becoming the first ever Extreme Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. Do you agree? Do you disagree? We'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and we'll actually share it on a future episode of the RCWR show, depending on the number of comments that we get on this particular matter. And again, for those of you that's looking to download this pay-per-view, you will not be able to do so until possibly later tonight or sometime during the week. So make sure that you check out the Extreme Rising website frequently to see when the pay-per-view is available for your downloading pleasure. Folks, that's going to do it. Really hope you appreciated this remix version of the RCWR Post Show covering the fallout from tonight's Extreme Rising event. We'll be on a little bit of a hiatus, but we'll be coming back this Monday for you all, the YouTube audience, as we'll have an exclusive episode of the RCWR show coming on immediately after WWE Raw. Cover the fallout as it's the last Monday Night Raw of 2012. And we'll see you this Tuesday night for the Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR show at 11 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com. Everybody be safe and be kind to one another, folks. We'll see you next time. Do take care.